and welcome back to another new video of Power Generation Transmission and Protection, which is a subject coming under the KTU syllabus of 5th semester Electrical and Electronics Engineering students. In this video we will be covering insulators and different types of insulators. Insulators. The overhead transmission lines are supported with the help of poles and towers, but the current through the conductors should not be carried through the poles towards the earth. Okay, for this purpose, we are using insulators on the transmission lines to avoid the current flow from the conductor towards the earth. So the conductors which carry the current should not carry the current through the poles, so they should be insulated from the supports. So these are known as insulators, and this will be insulating the conductors from the poles. These are the poles, or sometimes it may be towers like that. This is done by, the insulation is done with the help of insulators. The insulators provide necessary insulation between the line conductors and supports, and thus they prevent any leakage current from the conductors towards the earth. They avoid the leakage current to flow from the conductors towards the earth through the pole structure. In general, the insulators should have some important properties. Which are the properties? Let's go through which are the important properties an insulator should possess. The first one is the high mechanical strength in order to withstand the conductor load as well as the wind load. Okay, the high mechanical strength is the first property. Second comes the high electrical resistance of an insulator. We know that an insulator is actually a high resistance material. So that is the second property. It should possess high electrical resistance in order to avoid the leakage current to flow to earth. Let's go for the third one, that is the relative permittivity of the insulator material. It should be very high because the dielectric strength should be very high. We know what is the value for the dielectric strength, and this dielectric strength depends directly on the permittivity. So dielectric strength is high if the permittivity, relative permittivity is high. That is the third point. Let's move on to the fourth one. The insulator material should be non-porous. That means it should not have any pores, and it should be free from other impurities and cracks. Otherwise, what happens is the permittivity will be going down, which will affect the dielectric strength. Let's move on to the last one, that is a high ratio of puncture strength to flashover. This you will understand at the end of this video. We will study what is meant by puncture strength, and we will also study what is meant by flashover. So the ratio of puncture strength to flashover, that we will study in the last slide of this video. So which are the most commonly used insulators? So normally the most common type of insulator we used are porcelain, but along with porcelain, normally two more materials are also used, which are glass, steatite, and special composition materials are also used to a limited extent. But still, commonly used insulator is porcelain. Porcelain is actually made by firing at a high temperature a mixture of kaolin, feldspar and quartz. So mixture of kaolin, feldspar and quartz are fired at a high temperature in order to make porcelain. Next we are going to study which are the different types of insulators. Okay, there are several types of insulators. We are going to study four of them. First one is a pin type, second one suspension type, third one is strain insulator, and the fourth one is shackle type of insulator. Let's move on to the first one, that is pin type insulator. You can see a pin type insulator. This will be very familiar to you. When you go outside, you may see transmission lines which are supported on the poles with the help of insulators like this structure, and this insulator is known as a pin type insulator. From the name itself you can identify that the shape is just like a pin. Okay, and it is actually secured to the cross arm of the pole. This is the cross arm on the pole, and here you can see it is fixed on the cross arm, and there is a groove on the pin insulator so that it can carry the conductor through it. So this is a groove which can carry the conductor through it. So this is a pin type insulator. Here you can see the sectional diagram of this pin insulator. It is having a galvanized steel pin, okay, and there is a groove for the conductor. So these are the important parts of a pin insulator. So there is a groove on the upper conductor, upper end of conductor to carry the conductor. So for the housing of the insulator. Next, the conductor passes through this groove and is bound by a annealed wire of the same material as the conductor. So it is used, here you can see there is a groove which carries the conductor and it is bound by an annealed wire of the same material as the conductor, as that of the conductor. Now, pin type insulators are mainly used for the transmission up to 33 kilovolt, which is a very important point. So pin type of insulators are normally used for, normally used for 33 kilovolt. Up to 33 kilovolt we will be using pin type insulators. Now beyond the operating voltage of 33 kilovolt, pin type insulators becomes very bulkier, okay, and hence it becomes very uneconomical, and then we will go for other type of insulators. So here you can see the figure, and one more thing you have to note here is, I'll explain what is this one in the next slide. You can see some markings like A, B and C. A is the distance from the conductor towards the first, then B from there to the next one, and C from there to the pin. Okay, now we will go through what are the causes of insulation failure. What is meant by insulation failure, which means the property of the insulator will be completely lost, isn't it? So we are going to study two terms which are related to insulation failure, which are very important for today's video. So insulators are required to withstand both the mechanical and the electrical stresses. Okay, and the electrical stresses means, what does it mean? Electrical stresses means the voltage it has to withstand. The latter type, which means the electrical stresses, it is due to the line voltage, and this can cause the breakdown of the insulator. So you should know what is meant by breakdown. Normally, breakdown of an insulator means it loses its insulating property. So such a process is known as breakdown. The electrical breakdown of the insulator can occur either by flashover, that is one method, and the second one may be due to puncture. So there are two methods by which an electrical breakdown can occur for an insulator. The first one is a flashover and the second one is called puncture. So these are the two ways in which an insulation property completely loses for an insulator. Let's go for the first one, that is flashover. In flashover, what happens is there is an arc that occurs between the line conductor and the insulator pin. Insulator pin means the earth itself, and this discharge jumps across the air gap following the shortest distance. So what happens is, you can see here in the figure, there is a flashover which is happening. There is an arc being developed in between the shortest path, and here you can see the shortest path from the conductor towards the earth will be this path. Okay, see, the figure shows the arcing distance, that is A plus B plus C, okay, of the insulator. In case of flashover, what happens is the insulator will continue. If flashover is occurring, the insulator will continue to act in its proper capacity unless extreme heat is produced by the arc and it destroys the insulator. So when flashover occurs, there is an arc which is being developed in the shortest length, in the shortest distance between the conductor and the pin. Okay, and this is known as flashover, but it is not much a problem. It is not a very great problem. Why? Because this will be, in this case, the discharge is actually passing through the conductor towards the earth, but still the insulating property is not lost. The insulator does not lose its insulating property. It possesses the same capacity. Okay, and what happens if the extreme heat is produced by the arc, then it can destroy the insulator. So it is even though it is a reason for breakdown, it is not much dangerous as that of puncture. So we should know what is the second one, that is puncture. In case of puncture, what happens is the discharge occurs from the conductor through the pin, through the body of the, to the pin, through the body of the conductor. Which means that, I'll be just explaining it from this figure itself. You can see when puncture occurs, what happens is the conductor, the current will be passing through the body of the insulator. This is the body of the insulator, isn't it? The current will pass through the, from the conductor towards the earth through the body of the conductor, which means that it completely destroys the insulator. It completely destroys the insulator. Okay, so this is what is puncture is. So from the explanation itself, you might have understood how dangerous puncture is. When such breakdown is involved, the insulator is permanently destroyed due to the excessive heat. In practice, sufficient thickness of porcelain is provided in the insulator to avoid this puncture by the line voltage. So normally sufficient thickness is provided for the porcelain so that puncture will not happen. Now, the ratio of puncture strength to flashover, which I explained in the properties of the insulator. What is the ratio? And this ratio is known as safety factor. It is desirable that the safety factor is very high, which means that the flashover should take place before the insulator gets punctured. So the safety factor is actually a ratio between the puncture strength and flashover voltage, which means that the flashover should take place in before the insulator gets punctured, which means the safety factor is normally desired to be high in the case of insulators. So normally for a pin type of insulator, the value of safety factor is about 10. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, that is known as second one is the suspension type of insulator. The cost of pin type of insulator increases as we increase the operating voltage. So above 33 kilovolt, the type of pin type insulator is not much economical. So for those cases, we are going for new type of insulator called as suspension type of insulators. For high voltages, that is generally for greater than 33 kilovolt, it is a usual practice to use the suspension type of insulators. So suspension type of insulators you might have seen on the towers, and sometimes on the poles also you can see these type of insulators, which are just like hanging insulators. So these type of insulators are known as suspension type insulators. They consist of a number of porcelain discs connected in series by metal links in the form of a string. So it is just like they are connected like this. The discs are connected like this, and together this forms the insulator. Okay, the conductor is suspended at the bottom end of the string, while the other end of the string is secured to the cross arm of the tower. So here you can see on the cross arm, one end is connected to the cross arm, and to the other end the conductor is being carried. So the conductors are carried on the lower end of the suspension type of insulator, and each unit or disc of the suspension, this is one disc. Each unit or disc is designed for a low voltage, that means about 11 kilovolt. So each of this disc can only withstand 11 kilovolt. For this one also 11 kilovolt, for this one also 11 kilovolt. So each of the disc can only have a low voltage, that is 11 kilovolt, and the number of discs in series would obviously depend upon the working voltage. So how much number of discs will be there, that is actually dependent upon what is the operating voltage. For example, if the working voltage is 66 kilovolt, which means that how much number of discs are needed? Yeah, each can withstand only 11 kilovolt, which means to withstand 66 kilovolt, it requires 6 number of discs. So that is what a suspension type of insulator is. Let's move on to what are the advantages of suspension type of insulators. Suspension type of insulators are much cheaper than pin type insulators, that is beyond 33 kilovolt. When we are checking, it is economical to use suspension type of insulators. Then each disc is only for 11 kilovolt. Okay, so that is the next advantage, and depending upon the working voltage we can adjust the number of discs to be connected. If it is 33 kilovolt, we can use 3 discs. If it is 66 kilovolt, we can use 6 discs, and similarly going on. If any one disc is damaged, what happens? The whole string does not becomes useless. Instead, what we can do is we can replace the damaged disc with a new one. Okay. The suspension type of insulators are generally used for steel towers. As the conductor run below the earth's cross arm of the tower, therefore this arrangement, it provides a partial protection from the lightning. Why? Because the cross arms which are on which this suspension insulators are being hanged, they are actually earthed. So what happens is the lightning, it gives us partial protection from the lightning. Next comes strain insulators. So strain insulators are a third type of insulators which are used normally at the dead end or when there is a corner or a sharp curve is there. The line is subjected to greater tension and greater electrical tension. Okay. So this is to in order to relieve the line of excessive tension, these strain insulators are being used. You can see it is this figure in which a strain insulator is being connected. Here the conductor is and here the pole is. So this becomes the strain insulator. For the low voltages, that is less than 11 kilowatt, shackle insulators are normally used instead of the strain insulators. So for less than 11 kilovolt cases, instead of these strain insulators, we will go for shackle insulators, which we are going to study as the fourth one. Okay, for high voltage transmission lines, strain insulators consist of an assembly of suspension insulators. So if it is a high voltage transmission, the strain insulators actually is just like suspension insulators. That means discs are connected just like the suspension type of insulators. So discs of the strain insulators are normally used in a vertical plane. So what you saw in the previous one was as suspension insulators, the discs are actually carried like this. Okay, even though I drawn a figure in the other way, actually this will be the cross arm and the suspension insulators are hanged like this, which means the position of the discs are in a horizontal position. They are in the horizontal position. This I am explaining for the case of suspension type of insulators. But in case of strain insulators, you can see that the discs are actually carried in a vertical position. Discs are in a vertical position. So that is mentioned here that they are kept in a vertical plane. When the tension in the lines is exceedingly high, as a long river spans, then two or more strings are used in parallel. Here you can see if the tension is very high, if the electrical tension is very high, you can see that we can use more than one string and they are kept in parallel like this. Okay, like parallel, like this. Two or more strings are used in parallel. Last comes the shackle insulators, which are actually used for the voltages less than 11 kilovolt instead of the strain insulators. So these are also used in sharp edges or curves, or at dead ends we will be using shackle insulators. And nowadays this was actually used in the earlier days instead of the strain insulators, but now we are only going for low voltage distributions only. Instead of strain insulators, we will be going for shackle insulators. So nowadays they are frequently used for low voltage distribution lines. They can be either used in a horizontal position or in a vertical position, and it can be directly fixed to a bolt or on a cross arm. You can see the figure here. It is actually bolted to the pole. Here also you can see a cross sectional figure, and it is bolted like this, as well as it can be bolted towards the pole like this. And this figure shows a shackle insulator which is fixed to a pole, and the conductor in the groove is fixed with a soft binding wire. See, here you can see the conductor. This is the conductor, and it is being fixed with a soft binding wire. So that's all for today's video. Thank you everyone for listening. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you everyone.